You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our review for Monday Night Raw. And this show was on October 14th, 2019. And we're going to go through everything that happened tonight as we are looking at the draft, the second part of the draft that is following up SmackDown's draft on Friday night. Before we get into this review, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. And if you're not, don't forget to hit the notification bell. Like and share this video as it helps the channel a great deal. So we kick things off with Becky coming out to start the show and cuts a promo on Sasha Banks. She then begins to speak indirectly about not being able to get rid of Charlotte Flair, whose music then hits as she enters the ring to start the match. Flair grabs a mic and begins to cut a promo on Becky and expresses her desire to be friends again before decking Becky, and the match kicks off with the two ladies duking it out. This match was pretty good. It ends on a roll-up as Becky catches Flair off guard. Both women put on a strong performance, but as much as I love these two, I'm kind of ready for Becky to have a new rival. And I think this is a good time for Flair to start putting over some of the newer talent that's going to be on the show. So we move on to Charlie Caruso in the back, who presents Seth Rollins as a chorus of boos kick off. Caruso asks Rollins about being potentially drafted to SmackDown along with Bray Wyatt. Seth goes on his normal spat talking about the Fiend possibly not being human, and in the end Rollins talks about finding the Fiend and going Fiend hunting, which again makes little sense considering the Fiend was drafted to SmackDown, but why the hell not? We return from the break with a promo from USA's Jim Cramer on investing in the right superstar. A look at the War Rooms again before Stephanie McMahon comes out to announce the first pick for Raw, which was earned by Becky Lynch's victory. As expected, Seth Rollins stays on Raw and is selected first. The second pick, as expected, is Brock Lesnar going to SmackDown. The third pick to Charlotte Flair, and she is going to Raw. The fourth pick is The New Day going to SmackDown, and then finally the fifth pick in this first round is Andrade going to Raw. After a word from the draft panel, which once again included Samoa Joe, we get a match between Andrade and Ali. During the match, the commentators announced that in light of Rollins looking for the Fiend, Bray Wyatt sent out a message that there will be a Firefly Funhouse on this episode of Raw. Andrade wins what is a very good match by the two, and in my opinion, this was poorly booked. Andrade does not look any stronger beating Ali, and Ali appears to be falling further into oblivion. Of course, if they don't plan on pushing either performer, then I guess it doesn't matter. So from there, we move on to the next round of the draft as the Kabuki Warriors go to Raw. Daniel Bryan goes to SmackDown to the dismay of the Raw War Room. Rusev goes to Raw, of course Bayley goes to SmackDown, and finally Aleister Black goes to Raw, sadly, as I would have loved to have seen him on SmackDown. The stipulation of the women's tag belts is that the Kabuki Warriors have to defend on both brands, but should they lose, they remain on Raw. We next move on to the match between War Machine, I will always refer to them by their indie name, I don't like Viking Raiders, and the tag champs Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. A very good match between these two teams that saw the War Machine win their first tag belts on the main roster since coming up from NXT, and I like this decision. My only hope is that we see War Machine often and we see them facing off against a returning AOP and other tag teams like the Street Profits. Coming back from break with a very good promo from War Machine where they brag about their accolades and surprisingly mention Ring of Honor and IWGP. From there, we go to the next round of the draft where Cedric Alexander goes to Raw, Nakamura goes to SmackDown to a very happy Fox War Room, Humberto Carrillo goes to Raw, Ali goes to SmackDown, and Rowan goes to Raw. A match follows this, and it's Aleister Black against a clean-shaven Eric Young, who doesn't even get an entrance. A quick match, and I don't want to get too excited, but I'm sensing a very strong push for Aleister Black as he wins in a semi-squash via submission. We return to the draft as Buddy Murphy is drafted to Raw. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode appear to be staying together and head to SmackDown. Jinder, where the hell has he been, Mahal, is drafted to Raw. Carmella gets drafted to SmackDown, however she is separated from her partner in crime R-Truth as he is selected to Raw, much to the delight of the USA War Room as they erupted in cheers like they just won the Super Bowl. We then cut to the Street Profits promo where they, as they have been lately, basically talk up the current happenings on Raw and celebrate their draft to Raw. The OC then comes in and interrupts and appear to celebrate with them when they insult them by telling them that the USA Network drafted a glorified host. Then they all break out into a brawl and the Street Profits get stomped. We then go back to the ring to see Ricochet in action, and during the tail end of his entrance, they show a video promo from Ricochet where he speaks about superheroes being real. Now, I love Ricochet, one of my favorite current performers, but I do not like the superhero direction they are taking with him. He takes on Shelton Benjamin, a fairly quick match but a solid one as Ricochet picks up the victory. From there, we segue into a video highlight regarding the events that took place between Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury. Following after this, we get a scene of Lana getting a sensual massage.
You mean a sensual massage?
And strangely, it cuts to commercial. Then when we return from the break, we're back with Lana, and Lashley replaces the masseuse and begins massaging Lana. They talk a little bit of trash about Rusev, but the segment is weird and cringy, and then it just ends. It made little sense in what is turning out to be a very poor cuck story. We then move on to the contract signing between Fury and Strowman, so you know what that means. Big brawl, right? Nope. Braun talks smack about Fury stepping into his world, and Tyson actually takes a humble approach, saying that he is a fan of Braun and that his kids love him. They both stand up. Braun strikes the table and breaks it. Fury smiles, attempts to break a pen several times, finally breaks it, laughs and tosses it at Braun's feet and walks off. We return from break with a short draft promo by Al Roker, and then from there into the draft where Raw picks Samoa Joe. The Miz gets drafted and returns to SmackDown, much to the excitement of the Fox War Room. Akira Tozawa goes to Raw. Baron Corbin gets drafted to SmackDown, and Shelton Benjamin goes to Raw. We move on to another match featuring Buddy Murphy taking on Cedric Alexander. A great, fast-paced, high-flying match between these two who are very familiar with each other. Surprisingly, Buddy Murphy comes away with the victory. It's then announced that The Fiend will be taking on Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Why are they doing this is beyond me, but if The Fiend does not get the title at Crown Jewel, which he likely won't, it's gonna be to the detriment of the character. We also have a best in the world tag team match between some of the premier tag teams in WWE, and with so many teams involved, including both shows' tag champs, it looks more like a battle royal. Lashley and Nakamura have been added to Team Flair, while Hogan's team adds Ricochet, and it seems that Rollins will be pulling double duty that night. We then get a promo from the Street Profits looking to get some revenge on the OC, but mentioning that they can't go in 2-on-3, and that they're going to get a mystery partner, and well, that seems to be setting up a 3-man tag match between both teams, and we'll see how that turns out. We then return from a break with a promo from the Premier League commentators of soccer, and we see Sheamus leading a soccer chair at a bar. They are really pushing this new sport look that it's even gone over to the USA Network. Going on with the draft, Rey Mysterio is drafted to Raw as the USA War Room erupts in cheers. Shorty Gable, poor guy, is drafted over to SmackDown, so more Corbin versus Gable matches, yay. Titus O'Neil gets drafted to Raw, even though we'll never see him, as Elias gets drafted over to SmackDown, and the final pick of the draft goes to Raw as they pick Liv Morgan, which is odd. The Kabuki Warriors are in action, and they are still using that ridiculous mix mash of Asuka and Kairi Sane's music. It's so bad. Asuka has green dripping makeup coming down from her eyes, which I think is a nice touch considering what she's been doing the last few matches. They face off against Natalya and a secret partner who turns out to be, surprisingly, Lacey Evans. Now look, on one hand, I like this twist. It's something different and not so obvious a choice. But at the same time, considering how these women have tried to kill each other over the last few weeks, it makes zero sense from a story's perspective. But hell, it's WWE. When does anything make sense from a story perspective? And this was a bad match. It was boring and it was way too long, just not good. We finally get to the Firefly Funhouse with 5 minutes left in the show, and Bray Wyatt is talking about Seth Rollins being strong before Rambling warns Wyatt that Seth is coming. Shortly thereafter, Seth arrives and attacks Wyatt and starts throwing the picture frames from the wall. As Wyatt gets up and asks why Seth is doing this to him, Wyatt gets thrown into a wall as Rollins literally burns down the Firefly Funhouse set. And as it burns, you see clips of The Fiend as you hear Wyatt laughing in the background, although it's a recording of him laughing, not him there laughing. I thought the show was okay at best, but ended very weakly. The last tag match was boring as the crowd was dead, and the Firefly Funhouse segment was weak as well. The crowd booed Seth, and they seem to have broken the engrossment effect that the Firefly Funhouse has been having. With Seth coming on the set, I just don't think the Firefly Funhouse will have the same effect anymore. It seems that WWE doesn't know how to fix the problem they started and appear to be making it worse. Overall, there was a lot of wrestling, and save for the last match, they were all a minimum of decent to very good. I was especially happy that War Machine got the belts. I liked that they were making Aleister Black look strong. The Andrade Ali match was good, but it was poor booking as neither wrestler gains anything from that match in my opinion. The draft was very predictable and no big surprises. The War Room footage is very corny, albeit funny, but if you watch American football, not only can you not take it seriously, it can be downright cringy to watch. This show is proof that good wrestling can not always save a show. While I appreciate the fact that we only got one in-ring promo, the Lashley-Lana segment was crappy, the contract signing was uneventful, and the closing Firefly segment I believe only added fuel to the fire that's been burning since Hell in a Cell. Overall, it was a less than mediocre show. Anyway guys, that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more reviews, keep it here on the channel as we will be reviewing all the wrestling shows throughout the week. And as I said in the beginning, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and join E.T.N. and make sure you like and share this video as it helps the channel a great deal. Until next time, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N., where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.